Sa Radyo Trabaho Hotline 8882-2376 at sagutin ang tanong ng DZXL Anchor. Ang inyong pagtawag at pagsagot sa tanong ang inyong magiging entry o raffle coupon para sa Friday raffle ng Wi-Fi mo sagot ng Radyo Trabaho. Para naman sa mga online listeners and viewers ng DZXL, ilike lamang ang aming FB page RMN DZXL 558 Manila at magtag ng 5 kaibigan para sa inyong entry coupon. Malay mo, ikaw na ang susunod na manalo ng libreng Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi mo, yeah, sagot ko.
Wi-Fi mo, sagot ng Radyo Trabaho. Hatid sa inyo ng DZXL Radyo Trabaho, ang inyong gabay sa hanap buhay.
Lumipas at magbago ang panahon. Iisa at nakatatak ang kauna-unahang himpilan sa paghahatid ng serbisyo publiko at balita. Ito ang Radio Mindanao Networks. Higit 6 na dekada sa paglilingkod sa masang Pilipino. Sa Metro Manila, ito ang DZXL 558 Radyo Trabaho. Ang inyong gabay sa hanap buhay. Ang mga susunod na opinyon at komentaryo ng programang Sapagkat Mahal Kita ay sariling paninindigan at saloobin ng program anchor at hindi kumakatawan sa posisyon ng DZXL RMN Manila. Sapagkat Mahal Kita. Mahal Kita. Filipinos in America, kumusta na sila? Ano ang kanilang istorya?
Yeah, naririnig kayo, Congresswoman dito sa New York area. Can you hear our audio?
Narinig ko po kayo.
Tingin ng boses, pananaw, saloobin ng mga kababayan natin nasa ibang bansa sa iba't ibang issue sa kanilang pinakamamahal na bayang Pilipinas.
Saan kukuha ng ikabubuhay ang mga mahihirap na ito?
Sapagkat mahal kita, kasama patikang radio broadcaster na si Don Lino mula sa Amerika at co-host na si Lourdes Escaros. Maririnig ng live sa WRMN New York, USA at worldwide sa pamamagitan ng Facebook at sa YouTube. RMN News Nationwide, the sound of the nation. Sapagkat mahal kita. Sapagkat mahal kita. Tuwing linggo, alas 10 hanggang alas 11 ng umaga. Dito sa Himpilang Extra Large sa komentaryo DZXL 558.
I'm coming home to stay. Nilayasan.
Dinggin ng boses, pananaw, saloobin ng mga kababayan natin nasa ibang bansa. Sapagkat mahal kita. Sapagkat mahal kita.
Mga kasama, araw ho ngayon ng linggo, alas 10 hanggang alas 11. Alam ko ho ang inaabangan po ninyong programa.
Dinggin ng boses, pananaw, saloobin ng mga kababayan natin nasa ibang bansa.
Sapagkat mahal kita mula ho sa Pilipinas, sa ating mga kababayan sa abroad na nakamonitor po sa mga oras na ito. Anong oras man ho sa inyo ngayon? Nasa dagat ba kayo? Yung mga sailor, mga OFW, yung mga kababayan po natin nakikinig sa barko, dumadaan po sa South China Sea, malakas ho. Kapag dumadaan sila dyan, radyo or yung frequency lamang po natin yung naririnig. At saan man po kayong panig ng mundo, ako ho si Radyo Man Lourdes Escaros mula dito po sa Pilipinas.
Dinggin ng boses, pananaw, saloobin ng mga kababayan natin nasa ibang bansa. Sapagkat
Ngayon, napakabilis at napakaganda po ng komunikasyon dahil saan ka man sa mundo, maririnig mo on the spot yung mga nangyayari sa Pilipinas. Or maririnig mo yung inyong mga mahal sa buhay with matching video pa. Diba? Unlike nung nabuhay ako, simula po ako nabuhay, aba yung ginagamit po namin, telegrama sa PTNP, kapila kami. Telepone pa nun. At syempre, susulat ka pa ng telegrama, isang buwan ang dating sa pupuntahan mo. O pupuntahan ang iyong sulat. Pero ngayon, napakadali na yan. Alamin natin ang mga balita naman sa Amerika. Naku, nag-positive po si President Trump at First Lady Melania sa COVID-19. At ilan sa kanyang mga staff. Kasama natin sa USA, RMN New York, si Don Lino Celle. Good morning, good evening, Don Lino.
saloobin ang mga kababayan natin.
Ang pagbati sa iyo, Miss Lourdes Escaros, at sa inyong lahat sa Luzon, sa Visayas at sa Mindanao, buhat dito sa Nueva York, Tri-State, New Jersey and Connecticut, at sa buong Estados Unidos ng Amerika at bumabati kami sa buong daigdig. Lourdes, papaspasan ko to sapagkat napakaraming nag-aabang ng update dito sa kalalagayan ng Pangulo ng Estados Unidos ng Amerika na si U.S. President Donald Trump at ang kanyang ginang na First Lady, si Melania Trump. Sa kabila ng fake news, kaya ako gagawin ito, na ginagawa ng CNN at ng MSNBC, ng Associated Press at ng kung sino-sino pang mga hudas na mga kamiyembro ng fake news, narito ang aktual na boses ni Pangulong Donald Trump nang siya ay isinakay sa US Marine No. 1 patungo sa pinakadalubhasa sa buong mundo na napakalaking medical center sa Bethesda, Maryland, ang Walter Reed. Narito ang kanyang binigay na mensahe bago siya isinakay, naglakad papunta roon sa helicopter.
I want to thank everybody for the tremendous support. I'm going to Walter Reed Hospital. I think I'm doing very well, but we're going to make sure that things work out. The First Lady is doing very well. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will never forget it. Thank you.
Ngayon, napakaraming naghahaka-haka na bagamat naglakad siya ng matipuno patungo dun sa US Marine No. 1, sinasabi na yun daw ay nilagyan ng oxygen sa loob ng White House. That's not true. Mamaya maririnig nyo ang mga dalubhasa ng pribado at ng militar ng mga ekspertong doktor, mahigit na 12 na nag-aasikaso sa kanya sa Walter Reed Medical Center. Subalit, bago yan, handa na ba? That's right. Nandito ang Pangulong US President Trump. Ito ang pinakasariwa na kanyang mensahe sa buong Amerika at sa buong daigdig. This was only 10 minutes ago.
I want to begin by thanking all of the incredible medical professionals, the doctors, the nurses, everybody at Walter Reed Medical Center. I think it's the finest in the world for the incredible job they've been doing. I came here, wasn't feeling so well. I feel much better now. We're working hard to get me all the way back. I have to be back because we still have to make America great again. We've done an awfully good job of that. But we still have steps to go, and we have to finish that job. And I'll be back. I think I'll be back soon. And I look forward to finishing up the campaign the way it was started and the way we've been doing and the kind of numbers that we've been doing. We've been so proud of it. But this was something that happened, and it's happened to millions of people all over the world, and I'm fighting for them. Not just in the U.S., I'm fighting for them all over the world. We're going to beat this coronavirus, or whatever you want to call it, and we're going to beat it soundly. So many things have happened. If you look at the therapeutics, which I'm taking right now, some of them, and others are coming out soon that are looking like, frankly, they're miracles, if you want to know the truth. They're miracles. People criticize me when I say that, but we have things happening that look like they're miracles coming down from God. So I just want to tell you that I'm starting to feel good. You don't know over the next period of a few days. I guess that's the real test. So we'll be seeing what happens over those next couple of days. I just want to be so thankful for all of the support I've seen, whether it's on television or reading about it. I most of all appreciate what's been said by the American people, by almost a bipartisan consensus of American people. It's a beautiful thing to see, and I very much appreciate it, and I won't forget it. I promise you that. I also want to thank the leaders of the world for their condolences, and they know what we're going through. They know what, as your leader, what I have to go through. But I had no choice because I just didn't want to stay in the White House. I was given that alternative. Stay in the White House, lock yourself in, don't ever leave, don't even go to the Oval Office. Just stay upstairs and enjoy it. Don't see people, don't talk to people, and just be done with it. And I can't do that. I had to be out front, and this is America. This is the United States. This is the greatest country in the world. This is the most powerful country in the world. I can't be locked up in a room upstairs and totally safe and just say, hey, whatever happens, happens. I can't do that. We have to confront problems. As a leader, you have to confront problems. There's never been a great leader that would have done that. So that's where it is. I'm doing well. I want to thank everybody. Our First Lady is doing very well. Melania asked me to say something as to the respect that she has for our country, the love that she has for our country. And we're both doing well. Melania is really handling it very nicely. As you've probably read, she's slightly younger than me, just a little tiny bit. And therefore, just we know the disease, we know the situation with age versus younger people. And Melania is handling it statistically like it's supposed to be handled. And that makes me very happy, and it makes the country very happy. But I'm also doing well, and I think we're going to have a very good result. Again, over the next few days, we're going to probably know for sure. So I just want to thank everybody out there, everybody, all over the world, specifically the United States. The outpouring of love has been incredible. I will never forget. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, dito po sa Estados Unidos ng Amerika, narinig nyo ang 15 minutes na nakalipas na nagsalita ang ating Pangulong Donald Trump. Kaya doon sa mga naririnig nyo sa CNN, specifically ang CNN na ipinapanalangin ng ibang kanilang mga surrogate na mga anchors na mamatay na sana si President Trump, yun po ay mga kampo ni Satanas. Okay? I can say that on the record. There are a whole bunch of son-of-a bitches sa CNN and they are evil. And MSNBC. At ang uto-uto na Associated Press na nagkakalat ngayon sa buong daigdig na si US President Trump daw ay nilagyan na ng ventilator at hindi nakakahinga. Hindi nakakahinga? Hanggang nakikinig kayong lahat sa buong daigdig dito sa WRMN USA, hindi natitinag ang aking mata sa video sa Pangulong Trump. Okay? Parang walang nangyari sa kanya. Kaya lang siya isinugod sa Walter Reed Medical Center sa Bethesda, Maryland out of abundance of caution. Ang ibig sabihin, precautionary lang yon sapagkat nilagnat nung Huwebes at nagkaroon ng ubo. Presidente yan ng pinakamakapangyarihan daigdig. At nandoon si Dr. Conley at tinignan siya. Nililiwanag ko sa inyo ang tunay na pangyayari as opposed doon sa mga sinasabi ngayon sa mga pahayagan ng mga fake news. Ngayon, nagsimula yan nang nagkaroon yung pinaka-top 8 niya na napakagandang binibini na si Hope Hicks. Laging bumubulong sa kanya yon. May mga classified na sinasabi. Nung nandoon sila sa helicopter, napakaliit lang nung US Marine 1 para sa mga 12 katao lang yon, na marami na yon. Siyempre, nagkakahingahan sila ron. nahawa doon si US President Trump. Yun ang sapantaha ng mga eksperto. At nang sila ay pumunta sa Cleveland nung debate, magkakasama pa rin sila dahil hindi pa nila alam. Martes yun. Miyerkules nang nalaman na itong si top aide Hope Hicks ay katabi sa US Marine 1. Huwebes lumipas, gabi nilagnat ang Pangulo ng Amerika. At kinabukasan, Biyernes, kahapon, New York Times, sapagkat kayo ngayon dyan ay Sunday na, ang ginawa ng White House physician na si Dr. Conley, siya ay pinainom kagad ng mga gamot na maririnig nyo mamaya para bumaba ang lagnat, para mawala yung pananakit ng katawan. At nung nagiging medyo nanghihina siya, noong kahapon ng Biyernes, nag-decide ang White House physician na si Dr. Conley na isugod na siya kagad sa Walter Reed Medical Center sa Bethesda, Maryland. 20 minutes away lang yon sa sasakyan, sa limousine. Subalit helicopter siya ron at mga 5 minutes bumaba ang helicopter doon at nagkagulo na yung medical center na napakalawak nun. Baka kalahati yun ng Makati. Yung laki noong medical center na yon, kasama mga parking lot, lalagyan ng ambulansya, lahat ng Pangulo na nagkakaroon ng suliranin doon isinusugod sapagkat doon ay combined private and military experts ang mga nandoon. Number 1 sa buong daigdig. Isinugod siya. At naririto ang paliwanag ng mga manggagamot kaninang umaga. Nang maintindihan natin ang kalalagayan at may binibigay sa akin dito ang mga notes, hindi ko maintindihan ito.
At this time, the team and I are extremely happy with the progress the President has made. Thursday, he had a mild cough with some nasal congestion and fatigue, all of which are now resolving and improving. At this time, I'd like to bring up Dr. Dooley to discuss some of the specifics of the President's care.
Thank you, and good afternoon. I'm Dr. Sean Dooley, as Dr. Conley mentioned. I'll start off by mentioning what an incredible, how incredibly proud I am of our medical team assembled behind me in the honor to spend the care for the President over these last 24 hours here at Walter Reed. He's receiving outstanding multidisciplinary care, the state of the science for coronavirus infection. We are monitoring him very closely for any evidence of complications from either the coronavirus illness or the therapies that we are prescribing to make him better. We have monitored his cardiac function, his kidney function, his liver function. All of those are normal. And the President this morning is not on oxygen, not having difficulty breathing or walking around the White House medical unit upstairs. He's in exceptionally good spirits. I'll go ahead and introduce Dr. Garibaldi, who will talk about some of our therapeutics and the plan of care for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dooley. And about 48 hours ago, the President received a special antibody therapy directed against the coronavirus. Yesterday evening, he received his first dose of IV remdesivir, and our plan is to continue a 5-day 5-day treatment course for remdesivir. And the big plan for today, since he's in such great spirits and doing well, is to encourage him to eat, to drink, to stay hydrated, to be up out of bed, and to be working and doing the things that he needs to do to get well. I'll refer Dr. Connolly to any questions. Thanks, Brian. We remain cautiously optimistic, but he's doing great. With that, one other note. It should be clear that he's got plenty of work to get done from the Chief of Staff. He's doing it. With that, there's a couple questions about the President's health in the last couple days. He's not on oxygen right now, that's right.
Do you have an estimated date when he might be discharged?
It's hard to tell where he is on that course, and so every day we're evaluating, does he need to be here? What does he need? And where is he going?
What is the probability that he will need supplemental oxygen going forward?
I don't want to put a percentage on that, but right now all indicators are that he'll remain off of oxygen going forward.
But in terms of like blood clots, pneumonia, bacterial infection, what do you see as the risk on that front?
Well, we know that all of them are risks associated with this condition. He is receiving all of the standard of care and beyond per routine, international COVID protocols. So we're monitoring for all of that, but at the moment there's no cause for concern.
You said he's fever-free now. What was his fever when he had one, sir?
I'd rather not give any specific numbers, but he did have a fever Thursday into Friday, and since Friday morning he's had none.
Why remdesivir on top of the antibodies?
So remdesivir works a little bit differently than the antibodies. We're maximizing all aspects of his care, attacking this virus, multi-pronged approach. As the president, I didn't want to hold anything back. If there was any possibility that it would add value to his care and expedite his return, I wanted to take it. The ultrasounds, we do daily lab work. The team is tracking all of that.
And Doctor, what symptoms has he also experienced? Difficulty breathing?
No, he has not. Never did. We've discussed that right now. If he needs all 5 days, that will likely be the course. But again, every day we're reviewing with the team his needs for being here. And as soon as he gets to the point where it's not a requirement, he may still need some care, but if we can provide that downtown at the house, then we will transition at that point.
That makes him more at risk for sort of a severe case?
Well, not particularly. He's 74. He's male, and he is slightly overweight. Other than that, he's very healthy. His cholesterol is great. His blood pressure is great. He's not on medication for that. He's up and active. You saw his activity, the days leading up to the long hours and everything else. He's able to handle it.
Can you provide other vitals like heart rate, blood pressure, and temperature?
So his heart rate is in the 70s to 80s. His blood pressure remains where it's historically been during our physicals. 110 to 120 is his dog. He's great. It's never budged. Has no concerns there.
Isn't the First Lady admitted as well?
The First Lady's doing great. Thanks for asking. She has no indication for hospitalization, advanced therapy. She's convalescing at home. Thank you. What's today? Saturday? No, Thursday.
No Thursday, no Friday, no Saturday. That's fine. That was why we were confused.
Thursday, no oxygen. None at this moment. Yeah, and yesterday with the team, while we were all here, he was not on oxygen.
So has the president actually been admitted as a patient to this hospital?
The president is a patient at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center.
Is he on any steroids? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
At yun ang kauna-unahan na pagbibigay ng medical press conference ng mga dalubhasa na humahawak sa Pangulo ng Amerika na si President Trump sa kanyang infeksyon ng coronavirus. At naririto ang opinyon ng kanyang mga medical consultants na nasa White House at nagbibigay ng mga impormasyon sa publiko para wag mag-alala ang publiko. Narito si Dr. Oz na isang actually naririnig dyan sa Pilipinas sa mga telebisyon. Napakatalinong manggagamot nito.
He doesn't have diabetes, he doesn't have high blood pressure, he doesn't have medications for those either, he doesn't have kidney problems, lung issues. To your point, he's not on, not taking habits like cigarette smoking, alcohol that could cause issues as well. Those all bode well for him. Melania, who's a female, that's a lower risk. Age 50, lower risk, and without the extra weight, lower risk. So he's probably already on zinc. He's probably already on an antiviral. Remdesivir has shown some benefit. The bigger question for me is if he develops worse symptoms and if the illness progresses, would they put him on steroids to prevent the bad complications of the inflammation I mentioned earlier? That's an approach that's been hugely successful in several trials. I suspect the White House team would decide to do that if the disease progresses. It's not smart to give it now because if his immune system is still battling the virus for the first time, you don't want to hinder it.
Ang sinasabi ni Dr. Oz dito ay wag munang lagyan ng steroid sapagkat lalo na ngayon wala nang lagnat ang Pangulong Donald Trump at narinig niyong 4 na minuto na nagsalita ng maayos at kung nababanaagan niyo sana ang video na kinunan siya candidly doon sa loob ng kanyang opisina sa loob mismo ng medical center sa Walter Reed Medical Center sapagkat isa sa larawan ko sa inyo ng matulin, ang Pangulo ng Amerika ay may sariling suite, parang hotel suite na may mga kwarto yon para sa mga bodyguard, na Secret Service at sa mga bisita at may malaking bedroom doon. Subalit merong conference room na malaki at doon siya nagtatrabaho at doon siya kinunan sapagkat magmula pa nung gumising daw kanina ay walang tigil na nakikipag-usap sa mga iba't ibang pinuno ng bansa sapagkat napakaraming tumawag pati ang pinuno ng North Korea na sa Kim Jong-un ay nakipag-ugnayan sa Pangulong Donald Trump at nagpahatid din ng pangangamusta ang pinuno ng komunistang China na si Jinping. At ang Russia, ganun din, at ang European countries, Australia, sa iba't ibang panig ng daigdig, Southeast Asia, ay sunod-sunod magmula pa kaninang madaling araw bago nagbigay ng press con ang mga manggagamot ng mga eksperto na nagsama-sama dyan sa Walter Reed Medical Center sa Bethesda, Maryland. Ngayon, may isa siyang consulting na manggagamot, consultant physician, na si Dr. Ahmed. Napakatalino nitong babaeng ito. Tila yata siya ay graduate ng Yale University or Harvard. I'm not sure. Posibleng Hopkins. Subalit narito ang kanyang analisa dun sa ginagawa ng mga eksperto kay U.S. President Trump.
I'm so thrilled to hear overnight the president is not requiring oxygen. You can guarantee his doctors are monitoring his oxygen levels very closely. It was outstanding to learn that he received Regeneron, the extraordinary new drug that has been developed, which contains 2 lines of very specialized antibodies, very distinctly targeted, that actually prevents the virus from binding or entering into the body cells. That is exactly what we predicted yesterday when we spoke about this, that the doctors are making an effort to lungs, but clinically it sounds marvelous. I also want us to be very optimistic that we're going to be seeing the president himself. I think we'll see him via video in coming days. This is going to be something that will be resolved in days. Pray God our president makes a very speedy recovery. This president is the author of Operation Warp Speed. The reason the president has access and American patients have access to remdesivir and trials are being run on Regeneron is entirely because of his vision to front-load investment and free up opportunities for innovative companies like Regeneron Pharmaceuticals, with which I have no financial relationship, to be able to make these innovations. Regeneron is so exciting. It is likely to be given in the future to people that are already infected and shut this down. It is going to change the profile for millions of people around the globe.
When it comes to the president, you are a pulmonologist. One of the key areas that I know people have been facing who get COVID-19 are lung issues. What are some symptoms? As we know with this virus, symptoms can change very rapidly and very drastically. What are some symptoms that would be warning signs?
Great question, Jed. And as you mentioned, I took care of these patients, but at the height of the pandemic, when they were already gravely ill, those patients that I was seeing had the virus for weeks, if not longer. So the first concern is not when the patient has no symptoms, what the oxygenation is. That can be measured in a blood test. That can be measured with a finger probe. That's very important. The radiology is very important. Later, the patient may develop some cough. What is very sinister about this illness is it takes a long time for breathlessness to develop and show up. And so patients misleadingly can look well when they are having serious challenges. His doctors will be listening to his chest, looking at his images, speaking to him, asking him how he feels, and measuring blood work. And they are watching him extremely closely. We're 10 months into the pandemic, so the president has the benefit of our knowledge and being treated with viral suppressants day one onwards.
You've been on the front lines of treating COVID patients for many months now, and we greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much.
And keep us calm. We must be optimistic. There's no reason to be pessimistic. We are going to have a hopeful outcome.
Well, you've given us some great reasons to be optimistic when it comes to the president's prognosis, so thank you.
Dr. Ahmed, isang dalubhasa rito sa Estados Unidos ng Amerika sa East Coast. Nililiwanag ko sa inyo na itong naririnig nyo ito mga actual na mga manggagamot. At yung mga binabaluktot ng CNN, sapagkat nanood ako sa kanina, at sa MSNBC, they are a disservice to the human population. Iba ang ibinibigay nilang mga informasyon. How dare they would say that the President of the United States ay nakasaksak sa ventilator. These people, the CNN, I may not be referring to the CNN in the Philippines because you got nothing to do with this, but your main company here in the United States, they are a whole bunch of demons. I can say that. I don't give a damn kung anong gawin nila. Because nakatape ang mga sinasabi nila. May isang negro na anchor kayo ng pangalan Don Lemon at yung kanyang mga surrogate na bisita, ipinananalangin na mamatay na sana si US President Trump. Yun ba ang trabaho ng mga jurnalista? My God! Para malaman ito sa buong daigdig, these people are deranged in CNN. They have something wrong in their heads. They need help. Meaning, they are psychologically deranged. Out of anger towards the president. Out of politics. Samantalang ang mga napakaraming mga tao rito nalulungkot, halo ang pag-aalala sa buong Amerika at sa buong daigdig na binanggit sa inyo mismo kanina ni US President Trump. Siya'y nagpapasalamat At nagpapasalamat na rin kami sa inyo bilang mga mamamayan dito sa Estados Unidos ng Amerika. Napakasakit ng ginagawa nila. Hindi tama ito. Hindi tama ito. Ito nga ang isang batikan na journalista rito na iginagalang na ang pangalan ay Laura Ingram. Nagbigay siya ng sarili niyang medyo emotional na commentary kagabi, Biyernes dito, nang isinugod sa US Medical Center na Walter Reed ang Pangulong Donald Trump. Pakinggan natin ang kanyang mga sinabi.
Now, the president, he's never gotten much credit for how much love and how much admiration he's inspired among his millions of supporters. But for millions of us, millions of you, he's been a champion for the middle class. And those people hadn't seen much of a real wage increase since about the year 2000. And then Trump came along. You see, for about 30 years, conservatives were promised so much by so many politicians, and too many of them just failed to deliver. But on issue after issue, he has delivered, whether we're talking about fighting for the steel workers in Pennsylvania or taking on China and trade negotiations or enforcing the border, bringing our troops home, fighting for peace in the Middle East, been nominated for 3 Nobel Prizes, and standing up for life. And Trump's America First agenda did change policy, and it's a real threat. It's a threat to the globalists who've amassed enormous power and fortunes on the backs of the American workers. Many of those people who are opposing Trump today, the really wealthy ones, the real connected ones, they've bet big on China. And so naturally, they're fiercely fighting against Trump's reelection. Yet the president's undeterred. You think about how much he's endured. He's come under investigation. He's been unlawfully surveilled. They impeached him. They tried to convict him. He's been accused of pretty much everything from treason to racism to fascism to xenophobia. And I'll tell you, none of it is true. None of it. He and his family have been vindicated time and time again, while his accusers have never been held to account for the lies and the false charges they keep leveling. And now, of course, as a positive COVID patient, he's never stopped working day and night to achieve a stronger, more prosperous, more secure America for millions and millions of you who thought you had been left behind. So watching Donald Trump walk to Marine One tonight on the way to Walter Reed, it was very emotional for so many of us who've seen him as, the indispensable man in the fight for us to maintain our freedoms and our way of life. And I know President Trump isn't Catholic, but in our faith, today is the Feast of Guardian Angels. I know that the faithful all across America are praying fervently for his speedy recovery. Those angels are watching over him tonight. So while you're recovering, Mr. President, don't worry. We'll take up the slack because you fought for us, and do not fear for a moment because now we're going to fight for you.
We're going to fight for you, Mr. President. That's right. At ilagay natin ang karagdagang mga sinabi ng White House Press Secretary na si Leigh McEnany patukol sa pagkakadala ng kanyang boss na si US President Trump sa Walter Reed Medical Center.
But safe to say the president took precautions. He learned of his positive test. We put out that information to the American people. I spoke to him, and he was in very good spirits and is having mild symptoms right now. Immediately, there was contact tracing that was put into place and all of the necessary procedures. Contact tracing takes time, but rest assured, we will always do what is in the best interest of the American people and those around, and I have confidence National White House Medical Unit to make the right decisions as they did with Hope and with others. We'll move forward with those same procedures, and we believe that we will protect those here in the White House as we come to work as we're essential workers. Yeah, so he's having mild symptoms, but he's feeling good. He's in good spirits. I spoke to him last night, and he absolutely was hard at work and was feeling good then. He did a long, handy interview right here on this network. Yes, he's feeling good, but again has those mild symptoms, as the chief confirmed this morning.
Lay McNenny. That's right. Ngayon, ang pinaka-sensitibo dito para sa mga nakikinig dyan sa inyo sa Pilipinas at sa mga Pilipinong nakikinig dito sa Amerika, sapagkat ngayon nyo lang naramdaman, isang araw, 2 araw lang na nawawala ang Pangulo ng Amerika para tayo mga pasang sisiw dito. Okay? At ang mga kalaban, nag-iispekulasyon na sila kung sino ang ipapalit, paano ang gagawing transition. Mga hayop ito sa kapangyarihan. Samantalang ang kardinal ng New York, may misa, may distancing na ipapasatupad, pero kayo po inaanyayahan na pumunta sa St. Patrick Cathedral para kay US President Trump. At hindi naman nakakaila sa inyo na nung September 26 ay nagkaroon ng Million March sa Kapitolyo na hindi mo mailalaglag ang karayom. Doon nila naramdaman ang pagmamahal ng mga mamamayan kay US President Trump. Sa kabila nga na sinasabi ni Laura Ingraham na lahat na ng kanilang basura, mga banggirahan, ay inihampas ng lahat kay US President Trump. Subalit nagawan pa rin niya ng paraan na ang Amerika ay nagkaroon ng unemployment rate na below 3%. At umabot ng lagpas patungo ng 20 million ang nailagay niyang mga hanap buhay. At daan-daang libong mga planta ang nakakalat na ngayon dito sa Estados Unidos ng Amerika. Bago dumating at naghasik ng lagim ang Wuhan, China coronavirus na ipinapangako ng Pangulong Trump na magtutusa kung sino man ang may pakana niyaan. I keep saying this. Kaya hindi umuuwi ang Ronald Reagan nuclear-powered aircraft carrier na nandiyan sa inyong South China Sea, otherwise known as West Philippine Sea. Kaagapay ang Nimitz. Mga submarino. May katanungan ako mamaya kay Miss Lourdes Escaros tungkol dyan. Ano-anong mga isla ng Pilipinas ang nandoon o may mga tao bang naninirahan ng mga Pilipino dun sa malapit sa sinasabing disputed island. Okay, itutuloy ko muna. Ang isa sa sinasabi nila ngayon dito, dapat pasalamatan ang mga manggagamot. Nakaramihan ay militar. Graduate ng Harvard University, graduate ng Hopkins University, graduate ng UCLA, graduate ng Stanford, graduate ng Hopkins. My goodness, lahat na ng pinakadalubhasang doktor ay nakapaligid kay US President Trump. Narito.
I'd like to thank Colonel Andrew Barr, all the medical and support staff staff here at Walter Reed for the tireless efforts, providing everything and anything the medical team, the President, and I could need. This morning, the President is doing very well. Behind me are some of the members of the President's medical team, whom I'd like to introduce. Dr. Sean Dooley, Pulmonary Critical Care. Dr. Brian Garibaldi, Pulmonary Critical Care. Dr. Robert Browning, Pulmonary Critical Care. Dr. Jason Blaylock, Infectious Disease. Dr. Wes Campbell, Infectious Disease. Dr. John Hodgson, Anesthesia. Major Kurt Klein, Army Nurse. Commander Megan Nasworthy, Navy Nurse. Lieutenant Juliana Levopa, Navy Nurse. Lieutenant Commander John Shea, Clinical Pharmacist. And not present with us are Lieutenant Beth Carter, Lieutenant Maureen Meehan, both Navy nurses, and Dr. Jesse Schonal, Director of our Executive Medicine Program. As reported yesterday, in consultation with this group, I recommended we bring the President up to Walter Reed as a precautionary measure to provide state-of-the-art monitoring and any care that he may need.
Ang kasabihan nga, ang Walter Reed Medical Center ang pinakadalubhasa na pagamutan sa buong daigdig. That's right. Ngayon, itong darating na debate na naka-schedule ng Oktubre 15, Trump versus Biden, ayaw i-postpone ni US President Trump. Narinig niyo ang pagsasalita niya kanina. Candidly, sinabi niya na I'll be out of here soon. Sapagkat siya yung klase na ayaw niyang nakaupo lang siya. Kaya siya pumayag na dali na sa Walter Reed at makapagtrabaho siya ron. At kung sakali man na may gagawin, nandun lang mismo sa complex. Total, parang Oval Office yun. That's a little White House. Ngayon, pakinggan natin kung ano ang sinasabi nila tungkol dyan sa debate na yan. At ang kausap nila ang personal na manggagamot ni US President Trump na si Dr. Jackson.
The next debate is on October 15th. He said he tested positive yesterday, which was October 1st. So if he continues not to see any signs to be asymptomatic, will he be good to go on October 15th?
Absolutely. That's plenty of time. And I mean, he's going to be ready to go before that, quite honestly. People are talking about the 10-day quarantine. The 10-day quarantine, for the most part, is for people that get exposed to it but don't have any symptoms, and we don't know that they're positive. We know that the president's positive, so they'll keep him in relative quarantine. But once he has 2 negative tests, that are 24 hours apart, he should be good to go back at that point and go back to normal. So
after the 10 days?
Even before the 10 days. So once he tests negative twice, he should be safe to go back to his normal routine. And that'll be well before the next debate. Transient, if not permanent, depending on we don't know exactly how this is going to play out with coronavirus, but some sort of immunity that will last for a period of time, but certainly well past the debate. As a White House physician, we always try to make sure that we're not treating the physician differently than we would other patients, because some, especially with remdesivir, it's an IV medication. You're going to have to give that to him every day. I just think that the threshold would be low if he got symptoms. They would do that quickly, I think, but I don't think they would do it while he's asymptomatic. Right. Tested positively, then the First Lady and the President were treated. They're both positive. The President started taking hydroxychloroquine. Should he have been continued a course of hydroxychloroquine right up until today? No, not at all. I mean, he was taking it prophylactically, and the prophylactic dose is only for a short period of time, 7 to 10 days. So he did that. He took a full prophylactic course, and that was the right thing to do at the time. I do think, we were talking about the remdesivir. I do think that it's possible that they go ahead and they reinstitute the hydroxychloroquine and maybe the zinc and or the azithromycin, and maybe even inhaled steroids. Those are some medications that have very few side effects, and it's possible that they would do those at this early point. And we already know, because he's had the hydroxychloroquine before, that he's probably not going to have any have a negative reaction to that. So we've already kind of tested it here. So I think that's something they can feel comfortable with.
Dr. Jackson, thanks for being with us.
You bet. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
So, wala bang sinasabi kung hindi tutuloy yung second debate sapagkat yung unang debate ay binastos nung Fox News na isa pang may sira sa ulo yun na si Chris Wallace. Na-discovery namin na siya pala ay registered Democrat. What the hell is his business being the moderator? 2 days before the debate noong 29 ng Setyembre, Martes, naglabas ako ng artikulo. Sinabi ko na babastusin itong walang hiyang ito ang debate sapagkat ito ay liberal. May galit ito kay Trump sapagkat lagi siyang sinosopla ni Trump. Ang pangalan niyan ay si Chris Wallace. Anak yan ni Mike Wallace. Ngayon, 1 linggo na siya na naglalako sa mga programa sa Fox sapagkat maraming dumarating na minumura siya sa ginawa niyang moderator. Kuno, ang sabi nga ni Trump, akala ko ba ang aking kadebate ay si Biden? Tayong dalawa pa lang magdidebate Sinabi ko rin yun sa artikulo. He will debate the U.S. President. He will interrupt the U.S. President para matakpan niya ang pagkaulyanin ni Biden. Yun ang nangyari. Pero mabuti na lang, malakas ang boses ni Trump yung doon sa mga ibang segmento at nasabi niya yung nais niyang sabihin na marinig ng buong daigdig. Hindi lang dito sa Amerika. Kamustahin natin naman si FLM, meaning First Lady Melania Trump.
We have reached out to the White House to find out more. Meantime, going forward, it's unclear how long the President and First Lady will be under quarantine and depends largely on if they are asymptomatic, as you've talked about all morning long. Either way, White House Dr. Sean Conley says he will be able to work. Conley releasing a statement saying, in part, rest assured, I expect the President to continue carrying out his duties without disruption while recovering.
My first question was, how's he feeling? And the First Lady tweeted out, we feel good. And then his doctor said both of them are well. And we've heard continuously from Dr. Jackson and others this morning that they are both asymptomatic, which is...
Apparently, White House aides through the night have been discussing whether or not the President should address the nation today or find another way to reassure people that he's okay. We got direct message from the White House physician, Sean Conley. Here is what he put out overnight. He says the President and First Lady are both well at this time, and they plan to remain at home within the White House, adding that, rest assured, he says he expects the President to continue carrying out his duties without disruption while recovering. So to your point about the President addressing the nation, unclear what will happen, but we know that he's doing well and he will continue to stay in contact with the American people.
At narinig nyo nga kanina ang Pangulo ng Amerika na si President Trump at siya ay kinunan hanggang siya ay nagtatrabaho dun sa kanyang lamesa sa loob ng Walter Reed Medical Center sa Little Oval Office doon. Suite. Pag sinabing suite, isang sophisticado na hotel room yun. Pero nandoon lahat ang mga kailangang gamit medical. That's right. Kaya sinabi ko kanina na nami-miss natin si US President Trump sapagkat araw-araw nakikita natin sa telebisyon ang saya-saya ng mga pinupuntahan niya. Walang tigil, state by state. That's right. 30,000, 50,000 ang mga nagsasama-sama para makita lang siya. Ito nami-miss natin.
Last night I did what the correct corrupt media has refused to do. I held Joe Biden accountable for his 47 years of lies, 47 years of betrayal, and 47 years of failure. I held Joe accountable for shipping you jobs and dreams abroad. The whole nation saw the truth. Did you see last night? Name one. I said, Sleepy Joe, name one law enforcement group that supports you. And then Chris Wallace says, don't do that. That's not. Can you believe this guy? I was debating two people last night.
Anyway, Mr. Escaros, I'm sorry, but we have to disseminate all this para ma-neutralize ng WRMN ang namomonitor namin ng mga fake news dito patungkol sa kalalagayan ng Pangulo ng Amerika na na-infeksyon ng COVID-19. At like what you have heard, he's doing well at ang pinaka-critical na oras, 36 hours. Okay? Yun ang critical. Kapag siya ay maayos pa rin bukas, na linggo na rito sa Amerika at sa Lunes ng hapon ay ganun pa rin ang pakiramdam niya, baka magdesisyon na ang mga eksperto sa Walter Reed Medical Center na siya ay i-release, Miss Lourdes Escaros. Kung meron ka pang maihahabol ng mga kailangan naming malaman dito sa Amerika, Lourdes.
Well, ang mainit lang naman dito sa Pilipinas sa ating mga kababayan sa abroad ay yung speakership post between Cayetano and the representatives Cayetano and Velasco. So far ay yan ang aabangan natin sa ating mga kababayan ngayong darating na 14th kung bababa nga ba sa pagka-speaker si House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano para umakyat or pumalit si incoming House Speaker Lord Alan Velasco. So far, yun ang mainit. And tomorrow, abangan din ng ating mga kababayan, yung mga nagpapadala ng pera sa kanilang mga mahal sa buhay sa Pilipinas, pambili ng laptop, cellphone, at pangpapakabit ng internet dahil bukas ang simula ng pasukan dito sa Pilipinas, online schooling dito sa Pilipinas. Of course, when we say online schooling, alam naman ang lahat yan. Alam ko, ramdam nyo yan dahil tumatawag kayo sa mga pamilya nyo rito sa Pilipinas na talagang may problema ang internet connection dito sa Pilipinas. So abangan nyo yan, Don Lino, by next week. Kukumustahin natin yan.
That's right. That's right. Mabilis na mabilis. Meron ako itinatanong sa iyo kanina na I said I will ask you. Ano yung mga isla na pag-aari ng Pilipinas na hindi pa sinasakop ng komunistang incheck? Na may mga naninirahang mga Pilipino na masasabi mong malapit sa South China Sea o nasa South China Sea o nasa West Philippine Sea. I'm just curious. May mga isla ba na may mga taong naninirahang Pilipino?
Ang alam ko doon, Lino, ay gumawa sila ng sarili nilang isla. Kasi ang sa area na yon, ang alam kong pinakamalapit doon yung Kalayaan Island. Alam mo naman yon, doon ang nakatira doon mga sundalo, di ba? So, yun ang pinakamalapit doon sa area na pinag-aawayan. Pero ang alam ko talaga na sinakop nila ay yung ating karagatan plus nagtayo sila ng kanilang mga sariling isla, artificial islets, ano? Pero yung mga sinakop nila...
When you say nagtayo sila, you're talking about Communist China.
Yes, exactly. Sila ang nagtayo ng sarili nilang isla sa karagatan natin. Then pangalawa, sabi mo, yung mga sinasakop nila. Ako, frankly, no, sinasabi ko na sinasakop din yung ibang lugar natin kasi ang dami nila rito sa Pilipinas na pumasok, nagtrabaho na ang kinaramihan ay walang mga dokumento like sa area of Cagayan, sa area ng Misamis sa Oriental, Davao City, Metro Manila, napakarami. And tingin ko, pananakop din yun eh. Kasi ang dami nyo, wala kayong dokumento, nagtatrabaho kayo. Well, in fact, at the moment, maraming Filipino walang trabaho.
That's right. Oo. Well, Lourdes Escaros, maraming salamat sa iyo. Looking forward to see you again next Sunday. Paalam ka muna rito sa Estados Unidos ng Amerika. Magandang pagbati po sa inyong lahat sa Pilipinas at sa buong daigdig at dito sa Amerika. Go right ahead, Lourdes.
Thank you sa ating mga kababayan sa abroad, mga nakatutuko sa ating programa sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo, especially sa Amerika, RMN USA, kay Don Lino Celle, thank you so much. Sa ating mga kababayan dyan, ako po si Radyoman Lourdes Escaros mula dito sa Pilipinas.
Sapagkat mahal
Happy Sunday everyone! Ingat, and good luck para po bukas ang unang araw ng pasukan sa mas maraming mga eskwelahan dito po sa Pilipinas, partikular yung mga nasa ilalim po ng public school.
Ain't no place like
ang mga susunod na opinyon at komentaryo ng programang Sapagkat Mahal. Paninit.
Oras natin, alas 11:04.
That time check was brought
DZXL